And that is the end of the episode. Okay, so this was a pretty good introduction to season 6 of Dexter. And again, I think it's great because there are definitely some good teasers in here, and it definitely there's a lot of stuff that they explored that makes you think more, but then there's stuff that they showed in very little detail that again makes you think more. So there's a lot that I feel there's a lot of stuff I feel to talk about character wise and story wise as well. But yeah, it's in my opinion it's a great intro to the season, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how things unfold from here. And definitely a new kind of antagonist coming in, the guy with the glasses and his what seems like his apprentice, maybe like played by Colin Hanks. I think. At first, like, when they were on that boat in the dark, like, I didn't immediately recognize him. I was like, is that Tom Hanks? Like, I was kind of hesitant. But then I think that is Colin Hanks. I think I've seen him other places, but I think... Yeah, I've seen him in other stuff before. I think what comes to mind is the original King Kong movie with Jack Black and Naomi Watts. Like, that one comes to mind. But I think he's been in a bunch of other stuff as well. And I think I don't know if like he's more or less famous than Tom. I think I'd probably say that they're equally famous, but I think with Tom he does have stuff like Toy Story and Saving Private Ryan and a bunch of other stuff to his name. But I think Colin has been in some equally big kind of projects and stuff. But I think this is going to be my first proper viewing to what Colin is like as an actor and in that kind of profession, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of his character. But yeah, so I think that might be the main kind of arc, the main kind of story for this one. Like, the fruit vendor was killed. His intestines were taken out. Then snakes were put in, 7 snakes to be precise, and then he was sewed back up with an Alpha Omega symbol. Yes, I mean, as soon as I saw the A in the circle, it's like the Avengers thing came to my mind. I just felt like might be funny to make that joke, but yeah, Alpha Omega, like, yeah, I think I've heard about like how like universities and like or like college as you call them in America, like how they work, like they have all kinds of fraternities and sororities like named after like Greek words like Alpha Omega, like Theta, Pi, like stuff like that. All sorts of like groups and whatnot. So Alpha Omega was one of the ones that Joe was in, or like one of the ones he knew about when he went to university. That's always confused me about the American education system as well. Like, it will be like Harvard University or university or like NYU, like New York University, or like University of da 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 da. But you like Americans still call them college. Like that kind of confuses me. But yeah, I mean, over here we have like in the UK we have like college as its own thing. Like we actually go to college and then we move on to university. But hey, it's just how the world works. So yeah, so I think. I mean, I've labelled it as the Alpha Omega killing, but I don't know if that's like I don't think that's the official name for it, but I think it's a good temp name for it. So the 7 snakes were put in, exactly 7. So I think from the scenes I've seen so far, it seems like he is like either quoting or like just babbling about like religious like events or religious texts or like something to do with religion. So with the 7 snakes things, I immediately like thought of like the 7 deadly sins, and I don't know what all of them are, but the ones I think pride, gluttony, greed, lust, those are the ones that come to mind. I don't know what the other 3 are, the other 2 even. Well, 3, yeah, because 4 I can't fucking count. But yeah, so pride, lust, gluttony, greed. I'll look them up. I don't know what each and every single one of them are. 7 deadly sins. There's an anime as well, which I haven't seen, and apparently there's a game. But yeah, the 7 deadly sins. What are the 7 deadly sins? So the 7 deadly sins. So gluttony, gluttony, lust and gluttony, or lustony. No, but lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. So yeah, I think gluttony. I think isn't that to do with food or something? Gluttony, yeah. So lust, strong passion or longing, especially for sexual desires. I figured that one. Gluttony, the excessive ongoing eating of food or drink. So what, like obesity is a sin in the Bible, really? Okay, greed, the excessive pursuit of material goods. Sloth, an excessive laziness or the failure to act and utilize one's talents. Wrath, the strong anger and hatred. Envy, the intense desire to have an item that someone else possesses. Pride, and an excessive view of one's self without regard for others. I mean, pride, that one kind of confused me, because I mean, having that word to describe it, like pride, like you can still be prideful and still be considerate of others and actually help others reach the same level of pride you're at without being egotistical. I think ego would be a better word for that one, because like ego is one where, you know, like you're so overconfident that you think you're above other people, and you like if you do something wrong, or if you make a mistake, or if you have like failures, you refuse to let other people know about them, and you feel the need to be above and better than everyone else. But with pride, I feel like you can have pride, but at the same time, like more often than not, you can still be considerate and, you know, view yourself as equal to others and help other people reach the same level. So I feel like with pride, it's better to describe that as ego. I feel like that would be a better way to actually describe that sense. So yeah, so lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. So those are the 7 deadly sins. So I don't know if the guy is going after people, like is maybe going after people who have committed the 7 deadly sins. Like maybe that, because I think his line at the end, like something about a serpent with 7 heads rising out of the sand or the sea or something, and then like, you know, like on each serpent's head, one of the 7 blasphemies or something like that. So I think like the 7 deadly sins, or people who have committed one of the 7 deadly sins, are his like targets. Or like his or it's his main MO. But I think this guy is probably, I think chances are this guy is someone who's just now coming into like play. Like it's not something like the Trinity Killer who's been around for years and, you know, he's just coming into Miami. I feel like this guy, I mean, I could be wrong. He could have been, you know, reported, like his killings could have been found in other cities, but he was never caught, and now he's coming into Miami. And I feel like that's how it happens. Like people go into other cities and states and they do all these killings and nothing ever happens. But as soon as they come into Miami, as soon as they come into Dexter's territory, they touch his radar, boom, just, you know, enjoy your killings while you can, because Dexy is going to come for you and he's going to fuck your shit up. But yeah, so the 7 deadly sins, I feel, is going to be the main like thing here. So I think, so with this season, so then having like a religious kind of background to this season's arc, I think that would be, I think that's a fairly interesting approach to take, and especially with Dexter being atheist. Like, I don't know why that surprises me. I don't know why, because I felt like it makes sense that he doesn't believe in God, because all the shit he's done, like, he would have like a golden throne next to Satan himself, just reserved in hell for him. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I mean, that's even considering that's assuming he even believes in heaven or hell. I mean, he doesn't really believe in God, so believing in heaven or hell would be kind of like him not believing in either of those things would be a given. But I mean, I always felt like there could be a part of him that, you know, could still somewhat believe in a higher power, and, you know, like, I think I thought the closest he might come was agnostic. Like, you know, he does believe in a higher power at times. Like I mean, it might be the case for me. Like, well, I am agnostic. Like, I'm not especially religious. I've never especially kind of indulged in like religious practices or arts. And if you do, then more power to you. You all have the freedom to believe whatever you want to believe in whoever you want to believe. I'm not going to judge. But me myself, it's like, you know, it's I don't. I think it makes sense. Like, I think I'm more if it's a time of like emotional distress or like something like that, then I may kind of internally kind of pray, or like I may kind of indulge in prayer or like some kind of religious act then. But other than that, like I don't really believe in it enough to actually do what's the word, like actually practice it. But it's like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't, how do I can't even explain my own agnosticism. Like, I don't like fully believe in God, but there are times when I would like to think there is like someone watching over, like especially in times of emotional distress. But other than that, like, it's like, I do lean slightly more towards the scientific kind of explanation behind life and creation and whatnot. But again, just no judgments towards those who believe in Adam and Eve and like God creating all life. If you do, more power to you. Again, you're free to believe in whatever you want to believe. But yeah, I thought agnosticism would be the closest Dexter came to religion. Like, I mean, again, it doesn't surprise me that he's a full-on atheist, but I thought like there may have been, especially like if it came to Rita's death, like there may have been times where even internally he was kind of like calling out to God or something along those lines. But that never, I don't remember that ever happening. I don't think that ever did happen. So I think the way he approached it as well, the way he approached like kind of like his kind of ignorance with religion and his kind of struggle to believe in a religion, or to believe in like a higher kind of celestial power, that kind of thing. Like, I think that was a very kind of understandable, like it was a lot more of a realistic approach, in the sense that like he's not like he never grew up with it, so he doesn't really know what to think of it. He just doesn't believe in it. But again, he doesn't chastise you if you do. He doesn't like just he doesn't just completely dismiss any like arguments against it. Like he went out of his way to actually ask Bautista about like what he thinks in religion, and like all of that stuff. And he went to apologize to the nun at the school to say if I came across as rude or bashful against it, I'm sorry, it wasn't my intention. Like he's one of the people who doesn't believe in it, but he has no judgments towards it either. And again, especially with his upbringing, like him believing in God is the last thing you'd really expect. And I think like my approach towards religion itself has always been like mostly the same. Like like I didn't grow up in a religious environment either. Like, I do have religious parents, but like they never forced me into religion. They made me aware of it, but they didn't tell me how to think. And I think when it comes to children especially, that's the best way. I personally think that's the best way to go with it. Like, make them aware. Like, should you be religious, or should you want to introduce religion to your children? Then make them aware of it, but don't tell them how to think. Like, don't tell them, oh, God exists and you have to believe it for the rest of your life or whatever. But just make them aware of how of how religion works, and like all the different deities and practices and stuff like that. But then as they grow older, like, they will mature with this information, and when they're at an old enough age, let them decide for themselves if they want to continue, like, if they actually want to actively go into, like, pursuing a religious lifestyle or not. And just let them be them, but make them aware of it, but don't tell them how to think about it, or like don't tell them what to like don't tell them what to do with their beliefs. Because again, like I mean, there are people out there who just let religion control their own life so much that they start going around dictating other people's lives for them, which is completely wrong. Like that, I fully just do not condone at all. And like, to me, it's like like there are so many arguments people use against others from religion, where like even in hindsight of them having committed multiple sins themselves, but them just kind of overpowering that with what they think is wrong instead, which again, do not condone whatsoever at all in any way. But yeah, I mean, Harry himself, I think I figured he wasn't fully religious. I think I think as soon as he found out what Dexter really was and what Dexter was like, I feel like religion, for the most part, religion went out the window, and he realized introducing him to righteous killing is going to be difficult enough, let alone bringing God into this, and God just doesn't really need to know much about this. So yeah, I think his and as a result, I think that made Dexter's approach to this even more like realistic. Like he's always trying to understand people. Like he never really he never truly connects with them. He's able to mimic social interaction and stuff like that. But when it comes to understanding people and how they think and how they feel, it's not really his strongest kind of like. It's not one of his strengths. So with this, I think that, like, especially given how we know Dexter is, this was a very realistic approach to take with him and religion, and especially him working in science. I mean, not to say religious people can't work in science, but especially with him, it's like there's so much he doesn't understand about other human beings. So him learning up, like him kind of wanting to learn about like what people think of like a higher being up above the clouds and stuff like that. It was a very, very nice way to actually execute that, and I would genuinely love to see more of it. And especially with Angel, I think he has been. I can't really pinpoint any times, but I think he has been religious in the past. I think I have seen him like saying certain like quick prayers, or like wearing like a crucifix necklace and whatnot, and being like not over the top religious, but like being fairly religious in the moment. So I think it makes sense that the school he would recommend for Harrison is also like a religious like a Catholic school as well. So yeah. But yeah, again, like with Dexter's atheism, again, given everything he does, it's understandable that his first thought would be like, so God is this guy who like wrote all these sins out and everything, and I've committed like a shit ton of them, so chances are he's not really gonna be very, very forgiving towards me. But I think again, I know these aren't accurate, but in all the media interpretations I've seen in like various TV shows and movies, it's like you have the person going into a confession stand with a priest on the other side, and them and like the person like usually confessing all of their sins that they've done in the past week or month or whatever, and then usually it's like the priest saying, like say X amount of Hail Marys and Y amounts of whatever and whatever, and you'll be like forgiven or whatnot. And I think sometimes like that has kind of confused me, because it's like people say like, oh, God wants you to completely abstain or like avoid like doing all of these things and avoid doing all these sins. But then again, it's like when you do them, like, is God really that quick to forgive? Like, he wants you to not do something, but then some people repeat so many sins so many times, and it's like, would he really be okay with you doing it so many times as long as you've just confessed to it afterwards and did like said all of this stuff? Like, that kind of stuff doesn't fully make sense to me. But yeah, again, I know media interpretation of it is never 100% accurate, no matter how hard they try. And even when they're trying to paint it in a positive light, it's never going to be 100% accurate. It's nice to see it. It's nice to see religion being painted in a positive light, but that's never usually how it actually works in the real world. And it's like, again, different people confess and practice it in different ways, and that's the beauty of religion itself. Like, there's like there are so many religions, so many different beliefs you can have. But each one works like differently with all the deities they follow as well. So yeah, but Dexter and his atheism is very, very understandable, and it's very, very believable. And I think my favorite part of it was his open-mindedness to actually being able to actually listening to this. And again, it's because he wants the best thing for Harrison. Like, should Harrison want to be like follow a religious lifestyle in the future, then this is the like Dexter wants to learn about this as well, so that he knows what Harrison's getting into and he can learn about it for himself as well. And I think he knew about it being raised, but I think Dexter he just never knew anything about it like properly growing up. Like, he knew people probably believed in God and like Catholicism and Protestantism. I don't know, like being Catholic and Protestant and like like a church of like all like religion itself existed, but he never delved too deep into it. He was never introduced to it. So this is this is like a taster, like this is like a taster for him just as much as it is like for him just as much as it is for Harrison. So I think it's nice to see them both exploring this at their own pace, and Dexter understanding exactly what he's getting into as well. So the open-mindedness, that is what I like to see when it comes to this stuff. So yeah, that is that. What else? So Amy Garcia, she's on the show. She's on Dexter. Yeah, I pointed out earlier. Pointed out when she first came up, like Ella Lopez, because first I saw of her was the first place I actually saw her was Supernatural. Yeah, I didn't know it at the time until I actually went back and watched the episode again. But the first time I saw her was on Supernatural. She played a virgin who died in a celestial explosion, being killed by Lilith. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen Supernatural. But she was on there, and then I think there was the Rush Hour TV show that aired a couple years back. I don't know where the hell that went. I think I only saw like one season of it, and that was it. But she was on that. And then I saw her in the much more popular TV show Lucifer as Miss Ella Lopez, the lovely, bubbly forensic scientist. So she's in that, and now, obviously, this being a much older character of hers now, Jaime Bautista, Angel's younger sister. So I think they bought the apartment just next to Dexter's, I think. So she's, I think I'm assuming she's in school or something, or like maybe working as well. But I think she probably helps around the house with babysitting Harrison as well. And Harrison, he's growing up. He is a growing boy. So I think. So does that mean Sonya's out of the picture? Or I don't know, because the kids aren't around in this one. So I think like the time jump isn't just the year, like the time jump isn't just Harrison growing up. I think the summer vacation itself happened in between the seasons, so that's over. So now it's back to school and whatnot. So I think maybe Sonya took the kids back to Orlando? I don't know. Because the kids aren't here, but neither is Sonya. So I mean, I'm thinking like, you know, I'm hoping they didn't just boot her off the show after one season. But I think I'm hoping that, you know, like if the kids are gone, that means that Sonya must be with them. She must have taken them back to school or something. But you know, while she's away, there is someone else to watch over Harrison. That someone being Jaime. So that's cool. Definitely looking forward to seeing more of her. But yeah, so Maria, she divorced Angel. So Angel, I think it's happened so much. I think Barbara was the first one. I think a couple of seasons back. Yeah, I think back in season 4 or 3, like there was one another cop that Angel got with, and then by the beginning of the next season he revealed that they broke it off because they wanted different things or something. But then it was also revealed at that time that him and Maria were seeing each other like in secret. So I don't think that was a cheating thing. I think they likely genuinely were just looking for different things, and it didn't work out between them. But then he moved on to Maria, and then like that, there was that whole hassle of them not being able to get married at work, and like, well, not getting married, but also not being able to be together because of their difference in position and it being a workplace and whatnot. So then there was the whole hassle of them having to get married, and you know, like their superior didn't really like that, and now they're divorced again. I feel like love just never really works out for Bautista. Like he meets someone, he likes them, he gets married to them, or he just starts going out with them, and then by the next season it's like, oh, didn't work out. So now he's single again. Yeah, I think as far as I'm aware, like he does it, like his original wife, his original ex-wife is actually still around. He has a daughter with her who actually went to the school that he recommended for them. So I think they're not completely out of the picture. Like they're still around, but they're just probably not in Miami, or like they're just, you know, we haven't seen them since season 1 or 2, I think. So yeah, so that happened. But Maria divorced Angel, and I think Sergeant Matthews, I think I was hoping that there was nothing going on between them, because that would have been way too awkward for me to watch. Way too awkward, because it seems like that would be more of a co-workers with benefits thing. I don't even want to say it, but it just seems like it would be way too awkward for them to actually be together after that, and it's not. There were like he was on some kind of black book or something that she had like on a pen drive. So there is nothing romantic, or hopefully nothing sexual going on between them. So that's that. But Maria divorced Angel, so that's sad news. What else? So the high school reunion. That was fun to see. I think it was an interesting, like, it was interesting to see him bumping back into all of his old high school buddies. I think, you know, I feel like he was very much one of those who was like the loner type, but, you know, I feel like he was the kind that, you know, unless you were one of the lab geeks that actually knew him and was friends with him, like if you were one of the popular kids like Joe was, then you were always seen but never noticed. So, you know, like, you know, you were lonely enough to kind of blend in with the crowd, but, you know, like, they still saw you but just didn't really care too much about you or think too much of you. But him going back there, like, you could tell he was... you could tell he was not having a particularly fun time. You know, it was not something that, you know, he particularly wanted to go to, but it was only for the sake of catching Joe and, like, catching the evidence of Joe's blood work and stuff like that, and actually catching him being, like, having been guilty of having murdered Janet and staged it as a suicide, that stuff, and that was the only reason he was there. So, like, the stuff with Trisha, that was just awkward to watch, first of all. Did not really take a liking to that much at all. But yeah, so he got the private time with Trisha, and then tricked Joe into thinking he was getting the same thing. With Joe, I think I always had a dodgy feeling about him from the moment I saw, like, the flashback of of him and Janet at the school. Like, from then I just had, like, I mean, at first I was like, oh, it's going to be that cliche of the high school valedictorian and the, you know, the captain of the football team or whatever, like, them getting together. But then it showed, you know, they did get together, but things did not lead up to a happy ending for them. There was tension in their relationship. He was abusive as all hell, and then, you know, he always, like, even in high school, he always had it in his mind to be with other girls, but because he was with Janet, he considered that, like, you know, the only thing holding him back. So essentially, he was just a dick. Then, you know, like, once they got married, things just got worse, and then he killed her, and then staged it as a suicide, and, you know, he was a dick at the beginning, he was a dick at the end. So, you know, that was it. That was that. Yeah, I'm yawning a lot because I'm not used to talking without breaks, and, you know, it's just a lot to talk about. So, yeah, but that conversation at the end as well, I think that was what I was always kind of like him talking about how, oh, if, like, you know, Joe saying something along the lines of, you know, if you sin, but then, you know, if you, like, if you sin but then confess, then, you know, God forgives you anyway. So he's like, you know, if you sin, you know, and then do some stuff afterwards, then God will forgive you. So it's like, so then Dexter's just like, you know, so if I kill you and then just confess about it and, like, you know, apologize for it afterwards, God will forgive me. And he's like, no, don't kill me. But you just said if I kill you, then I'll be forgiven anyway. Again, that concept, like, you know, again, it was playing back into my mind. It was just calling back, like, my original confusion, like, you know, having sinned, confessed about, like, you know, confessing it, I guess on the one hand, it does mean that, you know, like, you have guilt, but you have, like, you know, you're accepting responsibility on hand, like, you know, you've sinned and you feel guilty about it, but you're mature enough to actually, you know, confess about it to God, and you're taking responsibility of having sinned in the first place, and you're not trying to hide it and try and cheat your way into God's good books or anything. So, you know you've sinned, you're not expecting any reward for this, but, you know, you just want to get it off your chest and stuff like that. So I think on that, like, if you put it like that, then it does kind of make sense. Like, you know, you're owning up to your mistakes, and, you know, you're showing God that you are mature and you can actually handle the responsibility and the consequences of your actions. So, like, that in itself is a test, and that concept as well, like, every bad thing that happens to you is God putting you to the test of faith or something like that. That's always kind of like sat very uncomfortably with me. Like, you know, like the struggles that some people go through, and then people say, oh, it's you know, God has a plan for everybody, or it's just a test. Like, that stuff I've always been kind of iffy about. But yeah, again, I think religion as a whole is kind of like politics. It's a touchy subject. Like, everyone has different opinions, and sometimes you see very, very civil and responsible and mature conversations about it, and people are able to respect each other's opinions. Other times, people just go batshit crazy and say, oh, if you don't agree with my point, then you're just a dick or a bitch or something like that. So, you know, religion as a whole, I feel, is a very, very touchy subject. And again, you get those kinds of people who have lived with like heavy religious practices for so long that they start telling other people how they should live their lives. And again, that's not something I agree with at all. So yeah, but I think it's nice that they touched upon religion in this sense, and they showed Dexter taking this kind of open-minded approach, and I think that is how everyone should be able to go about it. Like, even if you don't believe in it, at least be willing to listen, and at least be willing to listen to how other people might believe in you. Like, you might learn something new. You might, you know, maybe it doesn't change how you feel, but it's still good to actually know how other people actually think and how other people work. And, you know, if they themselves try and push their beliefs onto you, or if they're ignorant to how you feel, then just walk away. It's as simple as that. Like, you don't have to let them force their opinions onto you. You don't have to listen to what they say. You know, like, you go with an open mind. But if you don't, you know, if they don't listen to you, or if you see this as a one-sided conversation, just walk away. Just leave. It's literally as simple as that. But, you know, with Dexter, he is very, very willing to learn more about this. And again, it might not change how he thinks, but, you know, at least he'll know what he's getting Harrison into and what he's getting himself into especially with like a religious school. And I think it's just a good enough kind of topic to actually to talk about and discuss as well. So yeah. But how do I get from the high school reunion to back to religion again? Again, religion is a topic that always draws you back to it. But the high school reunion was fun to see. It's fun to see that, you know, Pete, like, even if he wasn't friends with anyone, like, there were a lot of people that actually knew him and remembered him as well. The first being his old biology lab partner, who always admired his dissection skills. But boy, if you could see him now, his dissection skills are on point. And then, like, a few ladies remembered him as well. And the woman who dated Dexter before realizing, oh, she's a lesbian. So yeah, that was fun to see. And I don't think the you know, as far as I'm aware, like, the way I saw it wasn't the fact that, you know, she dated him and then realized, oh yeah, I'm definitely gay or anything. Like, you know, there are, like, you know, it is definitely a possibility to actually, like, for a woman to date one or two guys, or, you know, like, for a woman to have a history of having dated men before realizing that she's maybe bi or that she's maybe a lesbian. Like, that is very possible. Like, you know, gay people don't gay people don't have to have a history of being exclusively attracted to the same gender. It can be that, you know, they've dated people from the opposite gender, realized it hasn't worked out, and then realized that, oh, I like the same gender, it turns out. Like, that can very much happen. I think that scene itself wasn't really an insult to Dexter either. Like, it was just her having dated Dexter, but then realizing, oh, she likes women, or maybe she's bi. That could also be possible. But yeah, I think I've never noticed any LGBT representation in this show. I think that's the first. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, point out to me if it's been visible in other seasons, but I think this is the first time. I think, and this was also very, very small as well. So I think, you know, this was back in, like, early 2000s as well, wasn't it? Or, like, at least, like, 2000, between 05 and 10, I think, maybe. So it's, like, earlier ages of television where this stuff was a lot less apparent. And, you know, nowadays you got a shit ton. I mean, things could be better, don't get me wrong, things could be better, but nowadays you have a lot more, you know, like, TV shows exclusively dedicated to LGBT relationships, or just characters with LGBT rep. But I think back then, this was, you know, like, the closest they got. So it's still nice to see something like this pop up. But yeah, so that happened. I think what got me was how long this high school reunion lasted. Like, it was like it was almost like 3 days that he was actually going back and doing this, because I think the first time was the party in the tent. The second time was when he was playing football with the guys, and then the third time was another party in the tent where he also went to the science lab with Trisha, and then got some sexual activities in with her. So yeah, that happened, which he seemed to somewhat enjoy. I feel like he definitely was a virgin until he met Rita. I don't think he was even interested in that kind of stuff until he met Rita, and then Rita went down on him for the first time as well. So that was probably the first time. But so this isn't like a whole new concept to him, but he did still let it happen. But yeah, so the high school reunion was a good thing to touch on. And for an intro episode, I think I think it definitely it was definitely a good bit of backstory to touch on as well. Showed us a bit more to him, and I think the picture of him on his ID, I think it would only make sense for that to be like a young Michael C. Hall. So that was a fun little Easter egg as well. Presuming that's actually a picture of Michael C. Hall himself from high school. But I feel like knowing that, I feel like, you know, another Easter egg they might pull is that, you know, maybe a few of the characters actually did go to high school with him, or maybe the high school the high school that he went to for the reunion was actually his real life high school. I feel like that would be too on the nose, but you never know with this show. They do like to throw some fun Easter eggs in every now and then, like from the actors' personal lives as well. I think the last one I remember is Yasmin's mother in the last season being played by David Zayas' real life wife. So yeah, and I think another one is Jennifer Carpenter, who plays Deborah, and Michael C. Hall. Like, they were married briefly back when the show was actually airing. Like they were married and then they got divorced. I think that was sometime around season 3. I think it was around like the time when Dexter and Rita first got married. I think that's when that happened. But then they got divorced and stuff. So yeah, that happened. But again, high school reunion, a good piece of backstory to actually fall back on and to actually explain a bit more backstory to. So yeah, that was fun. I think it was a good way to actually bring Obi-Wan Harry back into the show as well, and to actually have him telling him to actually enjoy himself and actually, you know, look back on the fun times of school, like if there even were any. But yeah. What else? Deb's been shot. I don't know if that's going to be a big thing for next episode, but Deb's been shot. I mean, I think the shooter himself, I don't really think he holds much significance in the story. I think he was just just a genuine kind of shooter, like an active shooter in that kind of a situation. But I think Deb being shot, I don't know. I feel like that ending for her, it might lead on to more in the next episode. But I don't know. We'll see. But Quinn, he was gonna propose to her before the shooter came in. So I don't know how I feel about that, because I think in the last season they had an especially rocky relationship. They had a very rocky relationship, like with Deb and Quinn having hooked up, and then they moved into a relationship phase. But even in the midst of all that, Joey tried to investigate the Butlers, the Mitchells himself, and tried to investigate their connection to Kyle Butler, aka Dexter Morgan. Then that didn't work. He got suspended, and then he hired Stan Liddy, the RoboCop, to do the investigating for him. And then when things got too far, he tried to call it off, but then Stan wouldn't listen, and he kind of had his own agenda by the end. And then Stan got killed, and Quinn knew something about it, and then that happened. But then, you know, the truth was revealed that while he was with Deborah, he was kind of investigating Dexter on the sidelines, and from her perspective, he was just using her to get to him, so which didn't really make her feel good. So she broke it off. And I think now, going in for the proposal, I think, you know, I personally don't know for sure how much time has actually jumped from the beginning of this season to the end of the last season. But even then, I think, you know, it's like they're clearly on friend terms again. They're not on like girlfriend and boyfriend terms or anything like that. Like, they're not in any kind of a relationship. So I think him dropping the proposal bomb on her now is a very, very bad idea. Because for one thing, it's going to put a huge amount of stress on her. But also, the chances of him being met with a yes is highly unlikely, the way I see it. So I think he needs to work his way back up the ranks and actually prove to her that she can trust him again, and prove that, you know, things aren't going haywire anytime soon before dropping the proposal on her. Because, I mean, again, he clearly loves her and cares for her deeply, and she does care about him, but, like, that kind of romantic reciprocation is not there. That kind of thing is very one-sided. So I think he needs to wait a while until he actually drops that proposal on her. And again, like, she's been kind of, the way that she's been, especially, it definitely seems more friendly than anything else. There doesn't seem to be any kind of romantic subtext to the way she's been around him. So I feel like, again, it's very one-sided. So it's not really the best time to actually propose right now. But we will see where he goes forward with his proposal, if he actually does wait, or if he does drop the bomb on her in the next episode, or even in this season as a whole. But we'll see where that goes. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have for this one. It was a great intro to the season, so definitely looking forward to seeing how things unfold from here. Looking forward to seeing more of the new characters and Vince's new forensic intern squad. Surprisingly enough, looking forward to seeing more of them as well. But yeah, so that was Dexter Season 6, Episode 1, titled Those Kinds of Things. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of this episode and what you think is going to be coming up in this season. And if you guys have any spoiler-free reviews of this episode, or what you think of the season as a whole, or just this episode alone, then feel free to leave them in the comments. And yeah, that's it. So I will see you guys next time.